Morning, everyone. I'd like to open this Polk County Board of Commissioners meeting. It's October 11th. Extra agendas are on the back table. All commissioners are present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Looking for approval of minutes from October 4th.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up is department update. To Sheriff Garten.
Morning.
Good morning, Sheriff.
So, just want to touch on a couple things. You guys are aware, but for everyone else, the public safety levy is going to be, well, it's in the process of becoming on the ballot in May of 23. To make, there's going to have to be an increase of some nature just to be able to maintain the services that we currently have, just based on all the factors, inflation and tax base and all that stuff. So there is going to have a slight increase to at least maintain with that levy. So we've been meeting, we've met, we're going through that process to figure out, and if there's ways to fine tune it or not before the timelines are required to be met for publishing and getting stuff up to BOW and all that. So that's coming down the pike, and hopefully we can get that approved again. Animal control, since we took over the city of Dallas and their animal control stuff, or dog control for them, our workload obviously has increased just because it has with the same amount of employees. And so working with Mr. Hansen, we were able to offer up a part-time position to help backfill that, which we have already opened and closed. I think we had 5 people apply, but there's some potential viable people in that group. So we can get them up and going pretty relatively quick compared to like a patrol deputy. Jail staffing, we're down 1 in the jail, but our jail staff are definitely feeling burnout, just several other types of personnel related things, just based on the number of significant cases that we're having inside the jail from mental health, mainly revolving around mental health related issues, and the amount of those people that we have in our jail. And so it just takes a toll when you get poop thrown on you or peed on, all those different things, that takes a toll. And that's happening all the time. And so the staff in the jail are well, they're tired. They're just tired. And so we're trying to figure out a way to increase our ability to have behavioral health in there. And we actually have been working with behavioral health to apply for a grant, basically to do some renovations inside the jail, adding a few different types of cells, a different little area that mental health only type treatment, and all the different things that behavioral health can do, to have it in like almost an intensive treatment inside the facility. So we're looking at that. It's going to be expensive, but the grant could cover it all. And so we're just literally to the point of applying for it right now. But so we'll see. That is promising, at least in my eyes, better than we've done before. So on patrol, we're down 2. We were down 4 about a week ago, but we ended up hiring somebody, well, a week and a half on the 1st. We hired 2 different people. One's a retired sergeant that came from Yamhill County. Pretty easy transition, so that's a good thing. He retired a year ago and is looking to do more than being retired. So he was able to come back, and that works out really well. And the other one that we recently hired is Court Reed, his name is, and he had applied with or worked for City of Salem, but then left And so he's actually back here, and it won't be as long of a training process since he's already technically certified. We just have to fill out some forms and do his field training. So that was definitely a bonus because our patrol staff as well, we're getting tired. I mean, being down 4 people was essentially a whole team. So the other, 3 teams are picking up the slack of 4. So those 2 individuals will be up and running relatively quickly. In the jail, we have a jail camera project, a security project that is underway and started, about $1.5 million for new cameras, all throughout the facility, and then some other security type things that are going to be occurring in there too from that, and a lot of back end technical stuff that IS is involved with. So that is a big project and a long time coming. So I appreciate the ability to make that happen, because it is getting to a point where it's kind of getting dangerous. So I did check in with Val Unger, the clerk, regarding just the upcoming election and seeing if there's things that need to be done ahead of time. And so we had a good talk and kind of a plan going forward on what that will look like in our involvement. There's no specific threats. It's just kind of that generalized angst, I think, of what might happen. So that's on our radar to look for, pay attention to. The other project we're working on, we're going to be switching body cameras to a different vendor that will hopefully help the transmission between our office and the DA's office. We're shooting for January 1st to be that date that we switch over from our old to new. It's a little more expensive, but the back end and the ability to share and make edits and blur out photos and all that in videos is also a bonus, and also comes with tasers. And so we get new tasers on a regular basis. So we're not having to actually, fork out $2,000 for a taser. It's a big package that Axon has. So that is something that is needed as well, just because everything is going up. I mean, it's just the way it is in our world right now. But we got a locked in a price for 5 years, so we can just know what our costs are going to be. So for budgeting. So I was kind of looking at our year-to-date stats and comparing where we were, or based on previous years, and if we're on track or below or average. And a couple things stuck out. Our mental health calls, EDP calls out in the community are up year over year. We're almost to the point where we were in 2021 as of October 1st. And so those are very, very much time consuming and just takes a lot of resources off of patrol deputies, just because sometimes we can't keep up with one team. So that is something we have to look at, and I'll work with behavioral health on to figure out if there's other ways, because I know there's other things in the works that are going to be outside of law enforcement. So we're just going to keep an eye on that to see if that is something that we need to address, or maybe it'll help be alleviated with these other programs that are going to be happening. So the other thing that is up are crashes. For instance, I'm sorry. Our crashes are up just a slight bit compared to all the other things in previous years. We're on track for about 600 total crashes at the end of the year. That's anywhere from going into the ditch to a fatal crash. So it's everywhere in between. It's hard to break those out before the end of the year, just because the state isn't quick at reporting stuff through ODOT, as you guys are aware. So that's really what we're working on, the 2 highlights, and just wanted to make sure that we're not way off in some categories and to be able to shift resources. But I think for what we're doing, we're on track. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So what is the highway behavior stats like right now by comparison year over year?
So traffic stops, for instance, 4,100 we did in 2021. We're on track, or we're currently as of October 1st, we're at 3,400. So it's pretty close, but keep in mind, we've been down 4. Huh?
July, is it July 1 through June?
No, I do in calendar year. It's just easier for people to understand that. So calendar year. The traffic, we're gonna have about the same number of traffic stops, but we're gonna, over the last year, we've been down 4 positions, 2 to 4 positions, kind of fluctuating. So all of our calls are staying the same, but we're doing it with less people. So hence the burnout and all that kind of stuff that we're trying to address. So behavior stuff is much more aggressive. I heard just this morning, Lieutenant Newman is out on the Highway 22 trying to stop people because it is a raceway right now anyway. And I can't tell you why or what happened or what changed to make that, but they definitely have an increase in speed. Our DUIs are down overall from last year by about 40 less now at this point throughout the year than what we had last year. So we're trying to focus on traffic enforcement out on 22 because that's the biggest issue, and OSP is not always there. So that answer your question?
It helps, yeah. So again, I think all of us can sense that our major highways in the county have significant changes in behavior and specifically speed, reckless and careless. And again, I think all of us witness this stuff and are constantly asking ourselves, where's the law enforcement? And not asking that about the sheriff's office specifically, but I think all of us can note that. And as somebody who's worked diligently in the fire service, EMS, over the years, putting people in bags, I continue to remind people it's the speed that kills. And we all need to work towards trying to change those behaviors. I don't know what that is, other than if you get an $1,100 ticket, that's likely to have an impact on your behavior in the future.
Yeah.
There's just not enough of you all out there to help make that happen. It really is quite remarkable from my perspective, how many people get away with that behavior and in some really crowded highways. Yeah, it's really stunning. And you always wonder who's going to pay the price today for that person's behavior, because in all likelihood, it's going to be somebody else that's going to pay that penalty, an innocent person. But I just think it's important from time to time for you to be able to share with us. It is changing. It is different. It's becoming more problematic. That's what I heard you say.
Yeah, our number of sites are up compared to previous years. In just generally, historically, it's been, 1 out of 3 stops might receive a citation, and we're actually more like 2 out of 3 get a citation for speed. So even our citations are up, and it's not having a huge impact in reducing some of that stuff. So we have to address and figure out a way to pull somebody off a patrol for either after the next budget year, or in the meantime, to be able to just literally work on traffic and slow people down. It doesn't save you a lot of time by going an extra 10 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour over the speed limit between Dallas and Salem. It doesn't save you that much time. And I wish people would hear that better or more often. So.
Do you have a sense of, I know that Lyle's got to be thinking about this, but I'll ask it ahead of him anyway. Do you have a sense of what our stops look like, our traffic enforcement looks like in the safety corridor on 22 north of 99 or west of 99, sorry?
Just me anecdotally, because I don't have that broke down. I should have broke that down.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
And I think that it's a little problematic just because it's harder location to enforce because it's single lane. And so we are stopping cars out there. Lieutenant Newman was out there this morning at 22 and 223. So I know we're in that area, and riding it is just sometimes it's harder to turn around on a car and to actually set up somewhere on the road that you can catch those folks going faster. But we are there. I mean, on a regular basis, we're in that corridor.
I'm curious if OSP shares with you their traffic enforcement scheduling, or there's coordination there, if you just do it alone.
They put people there, I think, when there's like if we reach out, say, hey, we're having an issue, they'll put resources at it for a short period of time. I just know when we call for them on crashes that are on state highways, rarely are they already in Polk County before they respond. So it's just, I don't know their staffing. It could be staffing. I really don't know, but
Most of the enforcement that highway
is us. Yeah. By far. Yeah.
It's interesting.
So I talked to Lieutenant OSP. Right now, they have 2 officers on duty at a time. That's staffed.
Out of Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that covers Yamhill, Polk County,
Marion County.
and Marion County. So they may be all the way up on top of the pass, and there may be a call down here, and they might have both officers up there because of the severity. And he said, we're looking an hour before I can get an officer back down here, minimum.
And when those happen, we just take it. We just do the crash and we don't wait for them. Otherwise, we just wasting time. So.
And he talks very highly of Polk County being a team player and covering. But he said that's literally, in a lot of the shifts, if he has a guy on vacation or sick or an officer quits, he said, we'll have 1 in this whole region. So, but I just want to share what Commissioner Pope was stating. People are driving so much more erratic and aggressive, and speed is passing on solid lines and again, all the intersection hour. Most accidents can be resolved by just being somebody a little more patient and a little more smarter, but they all try to take those risks, and I can beat that truck. And we've all witnessed that at these intersections. And yeah, thanks for what you do and share with your officers how much value we do have in them. And it will be nice to get those new cameras and stuff installed in that jail and updated.
It's going to be 9-day difference in there.
It will be.
So.
Yeah.
Thanks for your partnership with behavioral health as those resources expand. I think the return on that investment can only be maximized with your partnership. So appreciate that.
Hopefully they can find staff.
That's right.
They're running into the same issues everyone else. So
That's right. It'll take time.
Yeah.
Well, additionally, the reality is you have to keep them safe too in that space.
Mhm.
So it will have an impact on your staffing load, regardless of how many behavioral health specialists we bring in there.
There is some potential for money for staff as well. So, I mean, we're looking at all that in that grant. So, but yeah.
Also, one last thing is thanks for your stance on Measure 114. That's going to be a challenge for all of us. And I still don't understand why the news has not covered any of these measures. This could be on this ballot yet. We are 6 weeks away. Time
We'll see something coming out, at least from law enforcement here very shortly. Just kind of, yeah, you'll see that coming out.
Good. Okay. Anything else?
All right.
Thank you very much. Any non-listed items today? Come on up.
611 in Southeast Rosewood, Dallas, Oregon. Let me give these to you so that I can reference you.
Thank you, Mandy.
Well, you can take note. I am just coming back and follow up to my my meeting, or when I came to the meeting here on August 23rd. I think Mr. Pope, I believe you were out on vacation on that one. So, but a couple of questions I had come to you guys in regarding to was the Sheriff Advisory Team and the concern that I had for trying to reach out several times to find out who was on the Sheriff Advisory Team. Since on our website, it shows that it's supposed to be open for community members to share concerns or the Sheriff's Office Advisory Team will be an integral part of the Sheriff's Office team, assist the Sheriff's Office in reaching its goals, incorporate citizen involvement and whatnot. So I reached out, well, it's been almost a year ago, having some concerns that I wanted to share with this team. I was made aware, I only knew one committee member I know on August 23rd, it's hard to understand. I think I shared with Mr. Hawkins that the video was kind of garbly, but Sheriff Garten had said that the reason why he didn't want to make it public, the team members, is because I was out talking to several people and, that were on the team. He says he was hesitant to provide names because the interactions you've had with some of the folks you already know are on the team. And that is not an accurate statement. I don't know who's on the team. I know Mickey Garris is on the team. And I went to him because I was told he was the chair. And his response to me was he could not speak to me. He was told he could not speak to me regarding the concerns I had. So for Sheriff Garten to say I've talked to several people is not accurate, it's not truthful. And I just wanted to put that on record. The sheriff's core values say honor, integrity, professionalism, and respect. Those are the things I teach my children as well. But part of that incorporates being honest and having integrity and being transparent. So if you have a community member that's concerned regarding some concerns going on, you should be able to sit and talk face to face and allow me to share my concerns. But Sheriff Garten has not, and I don't know if that's because of Mr. Smith advising him not to talk to me, or I don't know. But I'm not able to express my concerns because for whatever reason. So that then gives me greater concerns that if people don't want to meet and listen like two adults sitting in a room should be able to do, that gives me even more concerns for the concerns I already have that's going on in the sheriff's office. So there's more, I know we've talked before, but you were going, on the 23rd, you said you would check into more about that committee and what you could find out and that you'd get back to me. Have you heard any more on how that committee works?
I know they haven't met. They're getting ready to meet because the levy's coming on board. So they've been talking about that. I don't know if any meetings they've had yet.
Recently or?
Recently, I know they're getting ready because they're all want to go and get this levy going. So I know, and we're just finalizing all of that now to know how we're going to address and
Sure. I guess
take that forward.
my concern, I guess my concern. The Sheriff Advisory Team, it looks like from what I can, from the homework I've done is, it was created in 2016, formed by, and I think I gave that to you in my packet there, by Mark Garten. The team will consist of 9 citizen volunteers selected throughout Polk County, representing people who work and live. This is essential connection with help the Sheriff's Office provide the connect services for the communities they serve. I mean, it's a nice little layout of what they're doing, what's expected, attend monthly / quarterly meetings. So they're supposed to either be meeting monthly or quarterly. From what I heard from Mickey when he did talk to me, is back in, well, October and then February. I asked him, is it monthly, is it quarterly? And that's when he said he wasn't allowed to talk to me about it. So then, but why not? If you have something that you're making public for our community and you're writing up this really nice, thing. I mean, Sheriff Garten uses it on his campaign, website, political page or whatever. And then it's also on our county's page explaining why is it that it's top secret? Why is it that a community member can't know? It says here the new members are selected, will serve two-year terms. So we're in 2022. So there's already been a few terms. So yeah, and then it did kind of make me wonder because Mr. Gordon, you had said then when I asked if you guys knew about it, You said you guys have wrote a, first I'll just ask for clarification. List of vendor payments, that's just what you guys sign off on for the vendor payments each month, is that right? So
Periodically. Yeah.
periodically, do you guys review who the monies go out to? I mean, that's just part of the, okay, so,
Weekly.
oh, weekly, okay. So if you said you knew that, oh, what's that? That you wrote a payment on a couple vendors for the SAT, who would those go to if that committee doesn't report to you, if I understand?
I think the charge of the committee is key as to whether or not it would trigger public meeting
Okay,
requirements. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that an advisory committee would have to give advice to a governing body.
mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that would reach that threshold, but I'm not the legal expert.
But if you're signing money off to a team, like so a vendor payment, what vendor payments would go out? Am I allowed to ask that?
All vendor payments are public
Okay,
record. So all department expenses, those vendor statements come through each
Okay.
board member and our finance.
okay,
So the Board of Commissioners certainly does provide budgetary decisions,
sure.
including the sheriff's office. But that sheriff's advisory team does not make recommendations to us.
But they can ask for monies from you.
No.
So what's the
Not
vendor
unless they
payment? But you said you recognized or that you thought you knew payments on a couple vendors regarding the sheriff advisory team?
I don't recall them specifically.
Okay,
Do those even come through our desk? I know the sheriff,
Like pizza?
I don't know. It would be over 500, right? If it's, or that's just what you have to publicly, right, so when on the 23rd, when I asked about the sheriff advisory team, I understood from playing back the message that you said you were aware of the sheriff advisory team because of vendor payments, but you didn't know much more than that.
Not sure. I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure I stated something in terms of vendor payments with the sheriff's.
Okay, I can go back and
Sheriff's
re-listen. Sheriff's office, okay,
Department.
okay,
We sign up on all expenses.
okay,
But I can also say, I know somebody else on the sheriff's advisory team. I can ask her if she'd be willing to talk to you. She's from Falls City, active community member. This is a voluntary thing. It's not, there's no policy issues here. This is, I think, meant for the sheriff to hear feedback from the community, from various sectors of the community. So
right,
I imagine the participation of that committee varies quite a bit. It is volunteer, and I imagine the scheduling of the meetings might vary because of that. So,
sure,
and I believe it doesn't rise to the requirements of a public advisory, committee.
right. And I'm not disputing what level it should be at. I am just wondering why, if we're being transparent and you have a community member that's concerned with the integrity of some of the sheriff's office, people in the sheriff's office, and you follow all the steps by, starting with the person you have a issue with, and that doesn't get resolved, or doesn't get resolved, and you go to the next and the next and the next, and you go, all the way up to meeting with the sheriff himself, and there's inaccurate statements and things that are not appropriate and maybe not criminal, but definitely not professional and not appropriate. So if he's advertising that there's a sheriff advisory team that's listening to the community so that they can be better, they can, why would you not be transparent and say, here's my team, let's sit down and work through these problems, that's instead of just, kicking the can or pointing fingers. I mean, it's been very apparent that that's kind of just how it's done. You know, no, go talk to him, go talk to Mr. Smith, go talk here, and everybody's just doing this. You know, I don't understand. That's not how I've been taught how to resolve conflict and how to work through a problem. You sit down and you face the problem and you work through it.
We're able to meet with the sheriff.
Yeah, on March 3rd, my dad, he's here, and I met with Sheriff Garten and with Captain Nation, and we had a list, and he had that list and it was recorded, and so for reference, and he said he would follow up and get back to us on those issues, and we have not heard from him since. I know he said here that he's responded. He has not in the questions that I've asked. So yeah, I did notice, and just from friends of ours that, whoops, you know, the Lincoln County, I think I put that in there too. Sheriff's Office, they have a similar team, it appears, a community advisory group. They're pretty transparent with who's on their, you know, their team, and able to work through issues and address concerns. And they've been doing this for several years, and it looks to be very effective. And so, yeah, I wasn't sure why. Yeah, and I know, Mr. Pope, I see that, you know, it was referenced back in September, and you encouraged, I think, Sheriff Barton to utilize that team. And I don't see any follow-up since that. I mean, I haven't asked him specifically, you know, but I did ask Mr. Garris, and, you know, I think the problem that I see that's concerning to me is that people use, you know, these great, you know, look what we're doing. We're, you know, we have this team that is here to listen to the community, or listen to, you know, the problems, and look what we're doing, and, you know, put it on all the stuff, including Mr. Garris. You know, he uses that in all of his publications, that he's part of a sheriff advisory team. Oh, okay. Well, then tell me about this sheriff advisory team that you're on. Just tell me what you guys are doing to better our community and better the communication. And then as soon as you ask that question, it's, you know, can't talk to you, which is a shame. I mean, since I changed that boy's diaper when he was little. So I've known him for a long time. So to completely not going to talk to you is very sad and disappointing, because we have a long history of being family friends. So but that was he was given those instructions, I guess, you know. And I think that's it. Mr. Smith, are you able to comment at all on the sheriff advisory team?
No.
Very well. And then, so on the vendor payment, one other question I had was for August, Liberty House. Water. Dad, can I leave the water back there? I'm getting right off. Liberty House, $38,237.55. Is that, do we know what that is? Is that a question I can ask? It looks like it's used, I mean, every month. It looks like it's on there a lot.
It's for services that Liberty House provides,
That's wonderful. Like for, obviously for like,
or what Liberty House does. That's, yeah.
okay. So as a county, we utilize their services.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to double check, because I was told in a couple meetings, and with Sheriff Garten, that, and Captain Isham, that was something that they don't utilize that much of. And I see that there's,
I don't think
Other offices might have more than sheriff's office directly. So
Human Services, Behavioral Health,
right,
FCO.
right. But Human Services, Department of Human Services, it would come out, it would come through this budget. It wouldn't,
well, health services,
health services,
county health service,
county, okay.
not the.
Not
the
DHS,
state
not,
DHS.
right, because theirs is completely separate. So, okay, is that public record to find out who's whose budget? No,
Who uses,
is the sheriff's, is this large amount every month coming from services or referrals the sheriff's office is sending over for Liberty House?
no, that's a contract that covers services.
Right,
And it's a very discrete service that Liberty House provides.
right.
So who's utilizing them from the county? I don't think we have
But
information.
it's a contract that
Is my
Polk County has with Liberty
yes,
House.
proudly.
Yes, and that's amazing. That's great. I think that's wonderful.
Just like we pay for 911.
Mhm.
We don't know what department's calling 911 all the time or
Right.
who's utilizing it, but it's the same concept that we have a 911 department we pay into to help pay for, make that clear. Same with Liberty House, we pay a portion to continue those services so that we can use them.
So it's a contract set amount or no?
I'm not an expert on that. I'd have to go look at the contract and see, but if it's the same every month, I would assume it's a set amount. We aren't paying by utilization.
Right. Okay. So if you're being told, if a community member has been told they can't, that they will not send somebody over there because they don't serve kids over 12, that would not be an accurate statement.
I can't speak to that. I
I
don't
wouldn't know
think,
either.
Mr. Smith?
I'm not the sheriff. That would be a question for him.
Okay. Okay. Well, that would be,
If you have concerns about services with Liberty House, you probably shouldn't be addressing them here. You should contact Liberty House, I think.
oh, I have.
Okay,
We
good.
work with them.
And they can tell you their policy, because that was the question you just had.
Okay,
So we don't develop their policy. We follow their policy.
right.
So I don't know what it is either,
Yeah,
but
I understand
I would
what it is.
suggest going that direction.
My concern is the sheriff's office saying that they do not.
Yeah.
That they do not send kids 12 to 18 over to Liberty House. That Liberty House, it's only for small children. And by asking to send somebody there, you're stealing, you're taking away the ability for other children, taking up services and resources for other kids, when that's not how that works with Liberty House. They take everybody regardless. They take adults all the way up, if there's been trauma or, so. I was just trying to get clarification on that. So will we have any answers on, so I guess just so you don't have to keep hearing from me. It's not a popular question that anybody wants to answer.
What, the sheriff's advisory board?
Yeah.
That's the sheriff is his own elected.
Yeah.
position.
He doesn't answer to anybody, but he answers to the people.
I agree, a robust advisory board team could bring great value.
Yeah.
I think the membership is his discretion.
I know of a couple of people wanting to get on the board that there's no room for them right this time because they want to actively get involved in getting the new levy passed,
Mhm.
but the board is full. So, and that's all I know too.
The board is full. So
Yeah.
they quickly got filled
Yes.
since February, I guess, because it wasn't full.
I don't think he utilized them for a long time, but it's one of those things. I don't know if he consistent like Pope. That'd be a great idea to keep that advisory board going year round. And that was his statement. But he utilizes it more for when it's time for levies and stuff, as best I can understand.
And then people in the community can just use that as their selling pitching point.
Well, they
That's not right.
No,
That's not ethical. That's not professional. That's not right.
so Mandy, those people are all volunteers within the communities.
That person is a right-hand man of Sheriff Garten.
I don't know. Probably.
Yes,
Good chance, possible. And it could be somebody he's reached out to, who in your community would be good to serve on my committee. When I was in West Salem, they reached out to me and asked me to serve on that committee. So, and I did.
Fall City, the woman who runs the after school program for the district she's happy to talk with anybody about that. And they've been active, she's been active in that committee for quite a while. Fall City does not have its own police
Mhm.
department, so partnerships with the sheriff's office is very hard, it's hard to know what you have to say to your particular issue.
Mhm.
Or what that you'd like to address with the committee, but membership is to the discretion of the sheriff, and he's your elected official in that regard.
yeah.
What he asked of me when I was serving was, what are the biggest issues you're facing in your community?
Mhm.
And it was the homelessness, the theft of the businesses on Main Street, some speeding in major streets. So I brought him that information. And that's what he hopes to gain from all of these people. So,
Mhm.
and that's what I witnessed.
Well, there's a lot of issues, but you have to be honest, and you shouldn't be able to just continue to ignore and think the problem's going to go away, because that doesn't work with anything in life. To ignore it, you have to hit it head on and address it and deal with conflict. So if I have suggestions like I've shared before on training, you guys approve the budget for the sheriff's office, but he gets to pick whatever training he wants to send his group to. And there's no discretion, there's no input or whatever to give him on you guys' part for instance, the training. He said he was going to reach out to the Strangulation Institute through the Family Justice Center down in San Diego. He has not reached out to them. He also said he would be contacting Linda Connolly, who's connected with Project Beloved. And I know the Sable House, they are getting the care bags this week from Project Beloved. And so they'll have those for the women over there, which will be great. But I'm still going to keep pressing and moving forward, hoping that we can get a soft room, interview room for our victims and family members. I think that's very important. The fact that they don't see it as an important thing, the fact that they think they can bring victims into the interrogation room is completely disgusting and appalling. I have a meeting with Chief Simpson on Thursday to discuss possibly utilizing a room over there in the city hall, because Sheriff Garten said there's no rooms here. I guess in this big, huge building, there would be no rooms to do. Once again, it's free of charge, doesn't cost anything. It's run by, volunteers come in and completely pay for it. So it's something that I think this community, our sheriff should be open to it. If he is supporting Liberty House and the work that they do, that's a vital key thing that they talk about. So if that's truly something that Polk County gets behind and understands the importance of, that should be a priority here in our county seat where we are, to bring victims in there. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. Any other non-listed items today? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.